Hello, War of the Visions fans. I'm Jackie Fox, and thank you for tuning in today. We're going to be doing something new and special. Unfortunately, there aren't really any great ways to field test commanders right now, and it was particularly difficult to get an idea of how much Jaden was contributing to teams in Arena. At least in part because there isn't really a good repository of data on Arena battles. Now, for a guild battle commander like Winter Perrene, we do actually have a repository of this data, but unfortunately, it doesn't track who a team's commander is. So it's, well, she's also a newly released unit on both the global and JP side. So there isn't even data on how she performs in battle. And in my experience, she's been very underwhelming. I haven't committed super hard to this girl. I got her to 140, but I'm not taking her any further for right now. Just because even in cost limited competition, she's just not performing. She feels like the holiday units of old and not a more modern holiday unit, which usually come out and they're at least competitive for a while. And she doesn't have that. And it's, looking at her kit, she has a lot of potential. It just feels like she's been balanced away from relevance in so many ways. And that could be in part because she is a 70 cost commander unit. And for what else you can say, it is unlikely that either the wind element or any of the sub-job classifications that Perrene has, such as bow, strike, black mage, are likely to see another commander in the next couple of months. We don't know exactly how quickly these units will roll out anyways, and it seems that not every newer updated unit is going to become a commander, so it could be a while before players of these types have another opportunity to grab a commander. And she may be worth it just for that, and she can't be on your team and your commander at the same time. So maybe this is a character that you buy purely to use as your commander. So the question is she any good at that? And luckily, there is a way. I haven't seen anybody try it yet, but we can test her in mock battle. And one downside to this is I'm only really going to be testing one team. Now, in theory, if I had, instead of Veritas of the Wind, I had Garissa, my whole team would be fully applicable to all of the buffs, and she might perform even better. Also, Garissa, just being a newer character, would also just help the team in general, but it would specifically help the version of it commanded by Winter Perrene. What I am going to do is I'm first going to test a control. And this is going to be no commander whatsoever, even though practically speaking, that's not really what she's competing with. And I expect there to be a difference here. I expect her to increase the performance of the team. The question really is how much? And is that worth getting a unit that you may not want to use for other reasons for? Again, I'm not discouraging anybody from getting her if they want her, vibes, whatever. But I just don't think she's a very good character. I mean, I don't think that she's unusable, right? You could have fun with her. I just don't think that she's meta. I don't think that she's good even at her cost level. So really it's going to be the strength of her being a commander that's going to determine if you want her, I think, in my opinion. Because she was kind of niche already. And this would make her even more niche, only as a commander unit. What's more, her commander abilities seem pretty strong, but the final effect, that it's a lot like an opening skill activation that your characters get for free for hitting the job requirements. What it does is it increases AP and CT when your HP falls below 50% for all applicable characters. On this team, that is going to be Dario, and it's going to be Shurika. And this is pretty helpful for them. The thing is, especially compared to other abilities like this, This is probably more in line with Prince Mont, and he was the free character. Nobody expected that one to be good. Compared to another premium character's ability, that would be Commander Jaden. I mean, I don't like this as much as I do with Threshold Heal. They're very similar in that they trigger at Threshold, but I think that his ability is just better. Like, I think that he would increase performance a lot as a commander, maybe even to the point of bringing some new units in and making some new things viable. I don't really think that this change is going to bring back, say, strike teams or bow teams, nearly in the same way that Commander Jaden could be potentially really important for a number of job-based teams that apply for that buff. I mean, I've seen him be really effective with greatsword teams, for instance. They're already big, beefy, tanky boys, and girls, of course, and just giving them an additional threshold heal, because some of them already have one. Looking at you, June. That's just great. That's solid. That is a solid upgrade for them. Can we say the same for Winter Perrene? And also, what do I mean by it's not just fair to test her against the control? Well, everybody has Prince Mont, and while it's not a big deal, he does provide a pretty great general universal effect. 10% max HP. It's not a lot, but it's not nothing, and it's literally better than nothing, right? So not only are we testing if Perrene is going to be better than nothing, but we also want to test to see if she's better than the free unit that I know literally all of you have, and the game will reward you for taking to 120 to maximize their commander abilities. You can probably 140 this character if you really want to. I mean, very easily. There are free rewards that will guide you along the way. Just do the steps, you'll get there. And, you know, if you haven't already done this, and maybe you look at what she can provide to a team and you're like, okay, I have those teams, I can do that. Let's just look and see how much better she is than Prince Mont, at least, before we draw any conclusions, because I think you might be surprised by a couple of things in this data. So, with that being said, let's dig into it. Statistics Jackie here, and I've checked the data a second time. After my initial conclusions, I just had to go through the video, which was very annoying, one more time just to check to see what could possibly be happening here. And I want you to keep in mind that I've only tested each of these teams and each of these options once. In order to really get some kind of scientific data here, I would need to do each of these multiple times to factor out just random chance and RNG. So let's go through this data one at a time, and we're going to start with the control group. So this is the team that had absolutely no commander. They got 63%, give or take, of the stars available, with 18 wins, 57 stars total. They were able to knock out 8 of 11 Earth units, so they were pretty good at that. They were able to knock out 6 of 15 Ice units. They were not good with Ice. Able to knock out 6 of 11 Light units, so okay with Light. Able to knock out 1 of 4 Water units, and specifically I should say the 3 that they missed were all... Well, at least 2 out of 3 of them were Exia. I guess the third one was a Jume. I think they beat a Summer Glaciella. Was that 1 water unit they could beat. For wind, they beat 8 out of 10, so did pretty consistently against other wind teams. Dark beat 9 out of 10, so even more consistent against Dark. 7 out of 8 of the fire units, and then we have a total of 20 lightning units on our defense, which feels like a lot, but they were able to take out 12 out of 20. And keep in mind that most of the 8 surviving lightning units, in every case, it's Luciel. It's Luciel on a team with 2 other elements, She kept them alive, they kept her alive, kind of situation. That's one of the most consistent ways to get a lightning character to survive, especially against this team. So, you're wondering, how much better is Perrene? Well, Perrene, on her run as commander, managed to get about 67% of the stars, which is an increase of, I mean, really it's only just a little over 3%, but the way I'm saying it makes it sound like 4%. It's closer to 3 actually, because I'm rounding up and rounding down, so it's only like 3 1/3, which isn't a lot, but it does mean that we were able to get 20 out of 30 wins, 62, total of 5 extra stars, out of 90 stars. And then from here, I'll just talk about things that changed. This version of the team was able to take down 1 more light unit, 1 more water unit, 1 more wind unit, 1 more dark unit, and 1 more lightning unit. Those were the 5 that they managed to beat. It was all kind of across the board. Perrene just kind of helped this team stabilize and do a little bit better generally. And it wasn't really, there weren't any like blowout victories in this one. It wasn't necessarily beating a whole lot that it couldn't have beat before. It's just in some of the edge cases where 1 unit was left or where a team was only kind of winning, it did better. And it managed to close out basically about 2 more fights worth of stuff, as well as doing a little bit better in some of its losses and taking down some of the units even on the teams that it lost to. So not a huge improvement, really. Like this is not a lot, but that's not the surprising part. I didn't expect this to be huge. I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of power scaled with like a vision card, but with this extra ability. And really, I think that the ability is the most important part. And unfortunately, I don't think that Perrene's ability does that much. I mean, on paper, CT up and Threshold AP are pretty good, but I mean, when you compare it like to Jaden, giving people a threshold heal, and I think CT as well, that's just way better. That is so much better, because I don't think, like, in most cases, the matches that we're winning, and we're winning about 2/3 of them, we're far enough ahead that they never trigger our thresholds. And if they do trigger our thresholds, we're going downhill, and we're often likely to lose those matches. And the fact that that threshold doesn't hit us quite as much like a ton of bricks doesn't end up changing the dynamics of those fights. Like, we're losing parts of those fights too fast. And one of the big deals here is the ice units. Even though this build didn't necessarily change its matchup with ice, that is part of the deal. But practically speaking, comparing Perrene to nothing is a really favorable comparison for her, because basically anything is going to be better than nothing. It doesn't tell us much other than how much power a commander might potentially have, and it doesn't seem like that's all that much. But there is a commander that we can compare it to, and every one of us has him. You may not have built him up to 120, but the game encourages you to do so and will reward you handily for it. So just go ahead and do it. You'll get most of your resources back and you'll have a better commander. And that's Prince Mont. How did Prince Mont do, you ask? Well, actually, 20 out of 30 wins. And here's where it starts to get a little bit crazy. 64 out of 90 stars. That's right. Prince Mont actually outperformed Perrene as a commander, and I think a big part of this was the one that mixed up the results the most, for one. So this team lost some matches that the Perrene commander won, and it won some matches the Perrene commander lost, and there was one fight early on that none of the other teams beat, that it managed to beat all but the ice unit on. But also, just pointing out some of the other changes, this team beat 9 out of 15 ice units. It cleared 60% of the ice units on defense. The previous versions, both of them, changing Perrene or not, didn't matter. they only cleared 40% of the ice units on the board. And in the fight that I was thinking about, it actually left the ice unit. It cleared the earth and the water units on that team, but not the ice unit. So it picked up a lot of other ice unit KOs in a bunch of other matches that it would have ordinarily lost. It's just, it changed things a lot. So compared to the control, we fared as the same against earth units. As I just noted, we killed 20% more ice units. Same results for light. Same results as the Perrene team, which got 2 out of 5 of the water units. This team was also able to do that. I think it was just purely Exia that none of the teams could beat. Then when we go to wind units, not only does it take out 1 more wind unit than the Perrene team did, it takes out 2 more units than the control did. It cleared all 10. It did not leave a single wind unit standing. It had a 100% clear rate against wind with Prince Mont as the commander. Going up against Dark, actually this is where it had its worst matchup. It lost against 2 Dark units. That is 2 more than Perrene, who managed to clear all of the Dark units. And it's 1 more than the Control, which only lost to 1. Same results for Fire as everybody else. But this team also did considerably better against Lightning, and I think it even cleared a couple Luciels, which is what got it up to 14 out of 20. And if you're wondering, 64 out of 90 is 71% of the stars. The difference between Prince Mont and as commander and Perrene as commander, even on a team that is set up for Perrene to work as a commander and does not really work in any way other than the universal 10% HP. It's still a bigger difference than there is between Perrene and nothing. And I gotta say, take this very much with a grain of salt, because again, I didn't test anything enough to be statistically significant. Prince Mont probably won a couple of random fights for no reason, because when you look at what the teams qualify for and you compare these 2 units, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, the only thing I could say is that for all of the other bonuses, like wind attack, sleep, and blind resistance, and like all of that stuff on Veritas of the Winds, or Heavens, it doesn't matter as much as getting 10% HP, because he is left off of the HP part of Perrene's abilities. For the other characters, they should have more HP with Perrene. Like, the only person who possibly has less because of this setup, and it's, again, the only thing Prince Mont is doing is Veritas of the Heavens. So maybe pumping Veritas of the Heavens up by like 400 HP, all it really amounts to, is the thing that's causing them to win these extra stars. And that discounts all of the extra added bonuses that arguably the 2 best units on the team, Dario and Shurika, are getting from Perrene. I just do not understand how Mont did so well here. It has to be a fluke. But the thing is, if you can fluke like this, and you can fluke this far out in front of a character that is almost basically designed to boost this team, that's not a good sign. I'm sorry, Perrene. Your antlers look cute. It's a nice outfit. I'm sad that there wasn't another opportunity to give Perrene's English voice actor some work. Actress, I guess. But that's where we are now. And yeah, I've tested her a lot, and I can't recommend this. I just can't. Wait for the next Wind Commander, you know? Wait for the next Strike Commander. This isn't where it's at, unfortunately. Now again, she probably performs a little bit better if I had like Garza, then they would all benefit. And then, like, on a team like that, For Mont to actually do better, if I had Garza instead of Veritas of the Winds, for Mont to actually do better, he wouldn't be doing, like, I don't know how that would be possible, because they would just be stronger with Perrene. Like, the only thing that really confounds this is that Veritas of the Heavens, right? and yet, somehow that is the significant thing. Because, like, this shouldn't even necessarily keep up. This should be way closer to the control. Mont is doing, I stress this again, almost nothing to support this team. And Perrene is on paper doing a lot. But apparently that a lot doesn't really win matches. I mean, it looks good on paper, but that's about it. I honestly expected to not learn anything from this video. This is always how it goes, right? You know, I go into something and I'm like, oh, I absolutely know how this is going to play out. And then it doesn't. And I'm really glad I checked, you know? Because there is no reason to expect that it would work out this way. It does feel like a fluke, but at the same time, it happened. And that says, unfortunately, that says a lot. So, I mean, if you appreciate me spending, oh dear God, so many hours scrolling through videos for this one, like this one in particular, editing and recording and, you know, making all of that work usually takes a while, but just the amount of staring at a recording and like clipping through 10 seconds at a time because of it was a lot, y'all. It was a lot. So if you could support me, I would appreciate that. Best form of support, like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment. But none of those forms of support actually pay the bills, and if you'd like to help with that, that's where Patreon and Coffee come in. Check me out at Jackie Fox on either of those. And if that doesn't do your thing, you want this to be a little bit more of a meritocratic exchange, I'd be absolutely happy for you to buy one of my books. Those can be found on Amazon if you're interested. And I do have a hardcover version of it. It even happens while we sleep. That is available for $15 only, which is a pretty nice discount. So if you want to get into my work that way, that's a pretty easy avenue if you'd like to take it that way. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.